Hi, it's Dawn Huberty. I'm back to read the next installment in my book titled Wired for Life. And we are continuing on with the section that is called Sharing Wired. I started researching what was involved in starting a support group. I coined the phrase Wired for Life after thinking purposely that the name needed to reflect the group as a whole. If you had a pacemaker, what was life like? What did it mean? Well, it most certainly meant you'd have it the remainder of your life. So you would be, wait for it, wired for life. Since it was me that wanted to find a friend with similar heart conditions, I knew I had to start at the local level. I posted ads in our many newspapers for a meeting every third Thursday. At the first meeting, only 2 women showed up. One complained about the distance she had to travel, and she didn't think she needed the support. While the other, Marion, gushed that she was newly wired, a phrase I had created with the name of the group, and she was excited to see this group take off. At the second meeting, no one came, and the same at the third. At the fourth, when only Marion showed up, we agreed to scrap the meetings and instead meet at Panera around the corner for a visit. For 8 years, Marion and I met for coffee, and although she never understood how the internet worked, I've been called out on that like 3 times, so I'm going to make sure I say that. Not by people on Wired, usually my husband. Anyway, it was from this gentle prodding that I took the leap into the online world of support groups. It started with a free Yahoo group in which a few women made their own leap of faith into the group and continue 9 years later to be active and involved members. These women joined in 2005 and are still involved. Barbie, Fran, Nellie, who passed away last year, Janelle, Jane, Janie, Sherry, Becky, and Nina. 2 live in the United Kingdom. The rest are scattered throughout the U.S. Out of this group, only 2 come from Minnesota. Initially, we met online on Saturday mornings to chat. Oftentimes, the subject went from our pacemakers to our grandchildren, but it was interesting getting to know each other. Unfortunately, there were a lot of burps with the Yahoo chat rooms back then. Usually 1 or more of us would get kicked off, have to restart our computers, and log back in. After a few years, the frustration level was so high, we had only 1 or 2 women in our weekly chat. We tried other options such as message boards, but this was still another place to have to log in. Most of our members were not internet or computer savvy, so the challenges continued. We also had to deal with time zones. I'm kind of going to skip through some of this stuff because I personally think it's boring, but so let's see. Some of this is a spreadsheet that I did. I'm sorry, I think I'm bored by my own book. I did ask the ladies at some point if they would consider paying $12 a year to help with our expenses of our group, and everyone had agreed to that and did it. This is kind of an interesting part. In June 2006, I was approached by the magazine EP Lab Digest, which is, their tagline is a product, news, and clinical update for the electrophysiology professional, mixed in with articles from St. Jude Medical and the American College of Cardiology. Was our first printed interview. A patient's perspective, living with a pacemaker. I purposely discussed my own journey, which of course included the humble beginnings of Wired for Life. My introduction into the printed media was what sprouted my love of writing and communication. I submitted snippets in the form of a monthly Q&A to the Minnesota Women's Press, Minnesota Physicians Publishing, Minnesota Healthcare News, Minneapolis Star Tribune, and for my 5 minutes of national fame, a letter to the editor of the now defunct Better Homes and Gardens Heart Healthy Living magazine, which did what I wanted it to do. It brought us new members. Wanting to reach a broader audience, I began writing regularly using the 360 blog program through Yahoo. I wrote about my own pacemaker journey, what being wired was like. In 2008, I began Wired Words with WordPress, and I'm still writing there, or still blogging. So Marion, who I have to find a picture for the next reading, never really told us her age. I think she was 87 when she passed away in 2012. But she was a wonderful cheerleader for me. I'm going to talk about her a little bit here. Marion and I were still meeting for coffee on a regular basis, and she was notorious for not letting go of a certain subject. With each one, I tried to dismiss the subject by saying, we simply do not have the money. The first request from Marion was that we have our own pin. She would harp at me with the same conversation. There is a red dress pin for women with heart disease. There are countless types of ribbons for various cancers or diseases. Why shouldn't we have our own pin? Finally, to quiet Marion, which that didn't work, but anyway, I told her I would do some research, and if it was affordable, I would look into it. Well, we did find a company that would take our logo and create a pin. It was very expensive. I came to Marion with a quote and was sure she would be like, okay, let it go. No, she didn't let it go, and she tried to convince me it would be the perfect time to start a nonprofit. And she prodded me to fill out the paperwork and send in the fee, make it official. She would say, if we were nonprofit, we would have the money to not only buy the pins, but also maybe have conferences, bringing Wired sisters together from across the globe to learn about their devices and, all other kinds of things. And so that's what the next section of the book is going to be about. I'm going to bring a picture of the pin and a picture of Marion, so that will be good anyway. So that's going to be the end for this reading, and I hope you all are staying well, and hopefully we'll have these published up on YouTube soon. Thank you. Bye.